And we're going to start with the color that is very close to the color of the paper. So I'm looking through my colors and cleaning off my pastels. So I'm going to test this color here on the side first. And I see that this could be quite close to the color of my paper. So it's quite close in tone. We can try something else also, like this one. This one also could work. So this one is more red and this is more yellow. So we can use these two colors to alternate between these two to add more life to our kitten. So let's start by adding those darker areas. So I'm adding my pastel on the side, over my kitten's head, where I see kind of the darkest areas. As we have the light coming from the back, his head is mostly going to be in the shadow. So we don't have to worry about shapes for now. I'm adding this color and alternating between a redder, kind of grayed out red. Going around the eye. I'm not looking at lights or darks too much now. I'm just adding that area that is in the shadow. So very simple. Again, going to a yellower version. So for this, you can use any colors. They could be bluer. You can use light blues. Let's add also maybe one of those bluish grays that have the same tone. So we're looking for the tonal quality of our color. So this is a tad too dark. I'm going to go into lighter blues or violets even. So let's add some of this violet. So we can add this in some places. And this is what's going to create that color, the interesting color in our kitten that's not going to look completely flat. So I'm mixing in these three colors, which is perfectly enough, because I have the cool violets, which look more violet together with this yellowish gray. Just adding this violet all over my kitten. And this is going to kind of pull the kitten out of the paper for us and add more color. So adding these same colors underneath here so that our kitten doesn't look that he has only a head. Same goes here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blend these colors into the paper. So we need to create a smooth transition into the paper. So what I'm doing is I'm gently rubbing these colors together. They will not create mud as they are very close in tone. So it means they are very close in value. If you look at them in a grayscale, you will see that they are very similar to each other. So they won't create mud. That's one of the most important rules of soft pastels. When you mix colors, they need to be very close in value. So I'm creating this fluffy appearance by blending these colors into the paper. And you can see here I'm creating that smooth transition into the color of the paper. This is what's going to make our kitten seem fluffy. It's okay if we rub away our features. If you have drawn them yourself, or even if you've traced them, your eye is still going to remember where they are roughly. And you can still measure it out when looking at your reference photo. So I'm going very gently, very gently. Here I'm changing the hand because I have the camera kind of that's not allowing me to use my right hand a lot here. Okay, so this is just the first layer. We're creating that, let's call it underpainting with soft pastels. In places where I don't have enough color, I'm adding more pastel. Like so. And pulling it gently out into the paper. More violet here. like so. Also here I'm going to add a bit more violet just so that we can play a bit on this cool and warm, as our two other colors, the redder and the yellower variety of our grays, are warmer than this violet. Okay, so now I want to warm it up even more, and I'm going to start adding other light colors that are going to be in our shadows, and let's see, maybe something from pinks. So I'm testing it out on paper here, and I quite like this color, and I'm going to add this over here. And again, blending it into the paper. And here already I'm creating that motion that kind of pulls out the color and creates the effect of him being hairy. So here I'm starting to blend in the direction of the fur, like so. I'm going to add a bit of this violet more. And now we can go back to that darker blue. This one, the one that we used, that we tried, and we said that it's too dark. And as we have the layer already on top of the paper, we can start adding just slightly darker colors. So this is quite light if you look at it all on its own, but compared to our light colors, it becomes dark. Okay, so I'm pulling it out into the paper, creating that soft, furry look. If we want to create some strands of hair, we can go with our kneaded eraser, and look, we can use the negative drawing technique to pull out the hairs. But for now, I'm quite happy with how it is. So always working with the side of my pastel, I'm starting to create those fluff hairs, like so. So just to create that appearance of a fluffy kitten. Here, if I went in too far, I see that here I went in too far with the ear. I can always go with my kneaded eraser and take it back. And again, rubbing it away so we don't create too much of a contrast. So the main idea here is to blend it into the paper. Here I see that he has this darker area under the mouth. So I'm adding this darker blue, like so. And I'm starting to add those features. So I'm adding the part under the eye that I see that is quite dark. And then here, where there's the cheek, we add this blue as well. And again, blending it in the direction of the fur growth. Then I see that here, he has some darker area also under the cheek. And this one I'm blending it in this direction, again, in the direction of the fur growth. Still not using those dark colors. And just blending it out. Under the chin, not to create such a huge chin. So under the chin, again, I'm blending it in the direction of the fur growth. Just imagine as if you're caressing that kitten and you're petting him. Cats, they like to be petted in the direction of their fur growth. Here I'm adding this blue in those markings that I see on his head, and they are going to also allow me to actually anchor his head and show the direction that he's kind of slightly tilted. The marking under the eye. So we're slightly darkening everything now, like so. Then there are the markings, the brows. Like so. And blending it out. Always blending it out. On this stage, we're always blending it out. Just remember that sometimes you can overblend the image and it's not going to look good. So you have to be careful with overblending too. So you need to know when to blend and when to stop. So I think for my liking, I have too much blue in here now. So I would need something warmer.